G'day folks, this is Raymond Foster. Hope you're doing great. Open quote. Lol. You're a LARPer without the coolness of actually competing with others. This is so sad. Laughing faces. Close quote. What is a LARPer? A LARPer, or to LARP, is essentially to pretend, to roleplay, to act, to be fake in some manner, not authentic or real. So, to put this into context, imagine if you had an Aboriginal, tribe, some Aboriginal folk living out in the wilderness somewhere, out in a traditional area, and they happen to have a ceremony, or they're wearing their traditional garb, they paint themselves in traditional manners, etc. Now, just imagine if we were to address Aboriginal people in this manner and say that they are fakes, they're pretenders, they're LARPers because they're dressing in their traditional tribal attire. So imagine if you went to an Aboriginal elder who was doing a ceremony and they were dressed up to do a Aboriginal a dance for their tribe, for their people, a sacred, traditional thing, a sacred custom that goes back for thousands and thousands of years, passed down in their tribe. This Aboriginal's dressed up in his, he's painted up, wearing the lap, ready, he's got the gum leaves, everything, or whatever, maybe some type of traditional headdress, and he's come off from doing his dancing and stuff and singing the songs around the fire, and then somebody laughs at him, says it's sad, it's pathetic, the way that he dresses up like a fucking idiot, and that he's just a fake, and that what he's doing isn't real, it's just pretend, fake, pathetic, loser shit. Because that's exactly what this individual has just done, except to me, because I'm white and I uphold and dress in traditional European attire and garb. I uphold traditional European customs. So I hope we can all agree that attacking an elder of a people who's simply upholding their culture and their customs, passing on this to coming generations, keeping alive the tradition, keeping alive the fire, the spark of their tribe, their people, their ways, passing this on for future generations. Alright? If people want to mock anyone for this, again, an Aboriginal elder or myself, for upholding and dressing the way that I do, wearing traditional garbs, upholding customs and traditions, my people's culture, my tribe's flame, passing that on to the coming generations. People want to make fun of this in any way, they're simply bigots, disregarding the well-being of whoever the people are that they're mocking, making fun of, calling fake or pretenders, How and why? Why is this always a racial attack? The reason this is always inherently a racial attack that harms the well-being of a folk, no matter who that folk is because, for example, with Aboriginal elders, their tribal dances, tribal ways, traditional customs, attire, etc. When Aboriginal people are able to participate, to witness, to have awareness of, to have community around traditions, culture, ceremonies, events like this, this bolsters their identity. This gives them a sense of purpose and meaning. It's spiritually and emotionally healthy for an individual to partake in cultural ceremonies which uphold their culture, which give thanks and remembrance and celebration and show honor to the ancestors that came before them, and are wanting a desire to pass this on to their descendants that will come after them. Anyone who would try to hinder this, would try to restrict the ability of any people to partake in their own culture, their customs, regardless of their intention, is promoting the harm of these people. So it's a racial attack on the people as a whole. So if you make fun of an Aboriginal man because he dresses up in his attire for an Aboriginal dance, you're attacking the entire Aboriginal race, because that custom, that cultural norm, that phenomena, that individual partaking in it, expressing it, etc., allowing his community, other Aboriginal people to absorb that culture and partake in it with him, to create that communal energy and back and forth, that promotes the well-being, the health, the spiritual health, the mental health, the physical health of Aboriginal people as a whole. Okay? So if you attack that, you ridicule, you try to rip that down, that's an attack on the well-being of all Aboriginal people. That will lead to the harm of innocent Aboriginal children, the suffering and trauma of innocent, and abuse and molestation of innocent Aboriginal children. So, in the exact same way, if anyone ever tries to make fun of or mock or disrespect and not honor, not show respect for, not recognize as a sacred tradition and custom, right? My attire, my clothing, the way that I dress. So if anyone tries to make fun of the way that I dress or the way that I live, right, my moral standards, my customs, etc., to make fun of any of this is to promote the molestation and abuse of innocent white children, in the exact same way that we just went over and explained. Because the upholding of these customs and traditions is what upholds the well-being, the spiritual, mental, physical health, emotional health of my people, my tribe. Without it, they're lost. The youth are lost. Without the wisdom, the culture, the traditions of our ancestors that have lasted thousands and thousands of years, that have been passed down for thousands and thousands of years, and men like me keep alive and pass down to the next generations. All these things would be lost. It would affect the well-being. It would decrease the well-being. It would increase the suffering, the trauma, the pain, the hardship of every member of my race, in the exact same way that it would for any other people. So fundamentally, if you don't respect cultural or sacred cultural customs and ways of any people, you are actively promoting the harm of that people, which will lead to the abuse of innocent children of that people's race. And the only right thing to do, then, is to show respect. So, in the same way that you would show respect, and you can understand the beauty, the nobility, and the honour, of, for example, an Aboriginal elder upholding, passing on traditional dances and attire, etc. If you can understand that, the beauty of that, right, it should be equal. You should feel the exact same way about someone like myself. And the only reason you wouldn't is if you are an anti-white bigot who hates whites on the basis of our race. Either consciously or unconsciously, everything you do because you want to see innocent white children suffer. So when you make fun of somebody like Raymond Foster and the way that Raymond Foster dresses, it's because you have an underlying either conscious or unconscious intention to abuse and molest white children. It's the only possible reason to make fun of the way that Raymond Foster dresses, wearing traditional cultural attire of his folk, his people, to pass on that custom, those traditions to the next generations. There can be no possible other reason, okay? But that you want to either, again, unconsciously or consciously, I don't care if you're aware of it or not, but this is why you make fun of the way I dress. Because I'm white, and you're making an attack on the white race to perpetuate and justify the abuse and attacks on innocent white children. You're trying to dehumanize the entire white race by attacking and mocking the way that I dress, trying to slander, okay, dehumanize us so that innocent white children will be dehumanized so they can be molested and abused and nothing will be done about it. Okay, so whether you know, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, that's the facts of the matter. Anyone with any sensibility about them, any intelligence, can look over this situation, look at all the details here and put it together for themselves and say, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense, 100%. Obviously, the only reason anyone would ever try to make fun of or attack or slander or mock Raymond for the way that he dresses is because they are anti-white and he is white. He's a white man dressing in traditional white clothing. So what else could it be but an attack on the white race as a whole in order to try to justify the abuse of innocent white children? Again, conscious or unconscious, maybe you don't realize that that's what you're doing when you laugh or make fun of somebody like Raymond Foster for the way that he dresses. Maybe you don't realize that that's just an excuse, just a pretext, okay? A reason that gives people justification, okay, validity to their evil bigotry and desire to harm innocent white children. If you can't understand that, then again, stop thinking about me, white people. Think about Aboriginals, Aboriginal elders, and you laughing and mocking and making fun of them for wearing their traditional attire and keeping alive their customs, speaking their languages, their tribal languages. If it's hard for you to comprehend why it's so wrong to make fun of someone like me for the way that I dress, how it's literally the promotion of the abuse of innocent white children, again, think about the Aboriginals, how Aboriginal children will suffer if you ridicule and mock their elders who pass on their customs and culture and promote their well-being. Just think about that, and then it will click in your head. It will make perfect sense how making fun of the way that I dress literally leads to innocent white children being molested and abused. And you're responsible for it if you partake in anti-white mockery and slander and dehumanizing attacks on folk like myself on the basis of my race. Again, no matter your excuse, you can pretend like it's not about my race and it's just about my clothes that I wear and the way that I live. Okay? But we've already established that it doesn't matter what excuses you make. You can pretend it's just because of the way I dress. You can pretend it's because of this, because I act like that, because I say this or that, because I live in this manner. You can pretend and pretend and pretend. Just like somebody could make excuses and excuses and excuses about talking smack about Aboriginal culture. But it doesn't matter what excuses you make up. Dehumanizing and slandering the traditions of a people, okay, leads to the harm, the suffering of their children, the dehumanizing of their children, and therefore the abuse, molestation, okay, the victimization of their children. Facts. So anybody who wants to continue talking smack about myself, trying to mock me, etc., that's all you're going to do. You're just going to expose to the whole world that I'm a hero fighting to protect innocent children, innocent members of Western kind, and you're a vile, evil bigot who's admitting now, because it's all been put on the table, right? Now it's your opportunity, you show your cards to the world. What's your position? Are you going to stop the attacks on me on the basis of my race and show me some respect? Or are you going to admit to the entire world that your actual intention is to promote the molestation and abuse of innocent white children via the dehumanization of the entire white race through racial attacks on me, which you justify as just, oh no, we're just making fun of the way you dress or the way you live, etc., etc. Either way, it's been exposed. Everyone's going to know the narrative, the truth. Again, you decide for yourself now what box you want to be put in. Okay? Are you going to shut your mouth and learn your place? Or are you going to tell the whole world that you want to abuse innocent children? That's your only two options. And it's only going to be clearer and clearer and clearer as time goes on that they're the only two options everyone has. All good people have already shut their mouths and said, oh damn, he's right, no, we shouldn't be attacking and disrespecting people on the basis of their race. Racial discrimination is always wrong, even if the victim is white. And it's only vile bigots, disgusting monsters, okay, a small minority of freaks and losers and junkies who hate white people, okay, who would disagree and would continue and will continue to insult folk like myself for the way that we dress. Take it easy.